This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, September 18th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
The FCC is taking aim at Jimmy Kimmel.
Isn't something that we think serves the needs of our local community.
I'm Kevin Carr.
President Trump on the special relationship between the U.S. and the U.K.
The word special does not begin to do it justice.
I'm Rich Johnson.
3 police officers dead in Pennsylvania, and the governor there says we need to do better as a society. I'm Clayton Nevin.
The CDC's fired chief is warning of what's to come with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in charge. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
On Wall Street, the Fed cut interest rates. Markets were mixed. It was expected. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Correspondent Julie Walker has the latest on a scary scene at a Pittsburgh FBI building. All ahead on America in the Morning. Disney's ABC television network is taking Jimmy Kimmel's late-night talk show off the air indefinitely, amid controversy over his recent comments about Charlie Kirk's suspected killer. The surprise move came just a few hours after a Trump administration official responsible for licensing ABC's local stations purportedly publicly pressured the company to punish Kimmel. America in the Morning's entertainment reporter Kevin Carr has details.
The battle between late-night talk show hosts and the Trump administration has escalated. On Monday night's Jimmy Kimmel Live monologue, Kimmel commented on the suspect in the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them.
Later on Wednesday, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr was a guest on Benny Johnson's podcast and said Kimmel's comments amounted to news distortion. He suggested the FCC may have grounds to intervene.
I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
Later in the interview, Carr suggested that parent company Disney should make some changes, not ruling out firing Kimmel. However, he also called for local affiliates to push back on the broadcaster.
The individual licensed stations that are taking their content, it's time for them to step up and say, this, garbage, to the extent that that's what comes down the pipe in the future, isn't something that we think serves the needs of our local communities.
And that's exactly what happened. Nexstar, a major operator of ABC-affiliated stations, announced late on Wednesday that it would no longer broadcast Jimmy Kimmel Live for, quote, the foreseeable future. Consequently, shortly after this, ABC announced that Jimmy Kimmel Live will be preempted indefinitely. I'm Kevin Carr.
ABC television network has not announced what show will continue in the late-night time slot. President Trump took to Truth Social and called the suspension of the late-night host, quote, great news for America, end quote, and congratulated the network for having the courage to do what had to be done. Down to business for President Trump in London on this, the second day of his state visit to Great Britain, with a planned meeting with Prime Minister Keir Starmer to talk trade, technology, geopolitics. But Wednesday was all about pomp and circumstance and the king. More from correspondent Rich Johnson.
A classic carriage carried the American president and the British king to the front of Windsor Castle at the start of a day filled with royal spectacle, what Donald Trump called one of the highest honors of his life. It was capped by a state dinner in which King Charles noted that this is the president's second state visit to the UK, something no other American president has done.
This unique and important occasion reflects the enduring bond between our two great nations, anchored by the deep friendship between our people. This relationship, which, with good reason, we and our predecessors have long called special, has made us safer and stronger through the generations.
But it wasn't always so special. The king recalled the era in which George Washington vowed to never set foot on British soil, and the actions of King George III that led to the American Revolution.
Today, however, we celebrate a relationship between our two countries that surely neither Washington nor King George III could possibly have imagined.
In his toast, the president also noted the special relationship, the phrase coined nearly 80 years ago by Prime Minister Winston Churchill.
But seen from American eyes, the word special does not begin to do it justice. We're joined by history and fate, and by love and language, and by transcendent ties of culture, tradition, ancestry, and destiny.
Meanwhile, outside Windsor Castle and on the streets of London,
Donald Trump, you can't hide! We charge you with genocide!
Thousands marched and chanted, protesting Trump's visit. 4 people were arrested for projecting images of Trump alongside Jeffrey Epstein onto Windsor Castle. I'm Richard Johnson.
3 policemen killed in rural PA. We'll have that when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back to America in the Morning. Many folks look forward to the beginning of autumn next week. The fall weather pattern is starting to emerge. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Not much changes for the vast majority of the Plain States today, as a storm remains blocked from progressing eastward by strong high pressure to its east. This is allowing more and more moisture to be lifted northward from the Gulf, keeping this disturbance from simply raining itself out. This means that showers and thunderstorms simply keep redeveloping each day from the Dakotas to the middle of the country, and today's no exception. Showers transition to an area of steady rain from northwest to southeast across North Dakota, with a thunderstorm risk also increasing from there toward Wisconsin, southeastern South Dakota, and eastern Nebraska and Kansas, where the coverage of wet weather may not be quite as high. Showers and storms should be rather plentiful from the Oklahoma-Kansas border through the Texas Panhandle, and by the afternoon, eastern New Mexico as well. Those storms pick up some tropical moisture in southern Arizona and especially into California, related to the former tropical storm Mario, and that means some localized downpours from around San Diego through at least Santa Barbara County, as more spotty thunderstorms extend inland and eastward toward the far southern suburbs of Las Vegas. Rainfall looks to top out at 1 to 2 inches for most. For the east, a storm pushing out to the Atlantic brings an end to any lingering showers from the Delmarva Peninsula through the New York metro area, perhaps even toward Cape Cod. Otherwise, more sunshine returns to the coast through the day today. The same can't be said over much of central and southern Florida, where today brings yet another day of showers and drenching thunderstorms. In Indianapolis, today looks sunny and warm, the high 89. For Palmdale, California, this Thursday instead brings showers and a thunderstorm with the risk for flooding as well, the high only reaching 81. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. A scene of horror outside a rural home as 3 police officers are dead and 2 others hurt after serving a warrant Wednesday in western Pennsylvania. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
The shooting happened in York, Pennsylvania, while officers were serving an arrest warrant in North Codurus Township.
I can confirm that the shooter is dead.
Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner Colonel Christopher Paris says that 5 officers were shot.
3 fatally, 2 that were transported here to Wellspan in York. They are currently listed in critical but stable condition.
The FBI and the ATF are investigating. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said in a statement that violence against law enforcement is a scourge on our society and never acceptable. No further details about the shooting have been made public yet. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro responded to the scene. He said this kind of violence is not okay, and we need to do better as a society. I'm Clayton Neville.
A fired CDC director says Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is endangering the nation's health. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports on the Senate hearing with testimony from Susan Linares.
The CDC's fired chief is warning of what's to come with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in charge of the nation's health.
Would you agree that certainly you're going in a different direction philosophically than Secretary Kennedy is?
So I will stand behind scientific integrity with every decision I ever make.
Kennedy fired Susan Linares after less than a month, and she says his anti-vaccine advisors will hurt America.
It does put at risk our children. It puts at risk others who need these vaccines. and it takes us into a very dangerous place in public health.
Menares told a Senate panel Kennedy and his team rebuffed data supporting vaccine safety and efficacy. As a result, preventable diseases like polio and whooping cough will return.
And I believe that we will have our children harmed.
Menares says Kennedy told her to resign if she did not sign off on new vaccine recommendations with no scientific evidence. He denies that.
Did he ask you the question, can he trust you? And your answer was?
He told me he could not trust me. And I told him if he could not trust me, he could fire me.
Kennedy's hand-picked CDC advisory panel meets this week to discuss the recommendations. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
When we return on America in the Morning, Fed cuts interest rates. After these messages. This is America in the Morning. With a check of Thursday business, here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after the Fed cut interest rates for the first time this year. It was expected a 0.25 percentage point cut. The Fed sees 2 more cuts this year, but only 1 for next year. The Dow was up 200 points. The S&P 500 index and the NASDAQ were each in the red.
Federal Reserve cutting interest rates by a 0.25 point as expected to a new range of 4 to 4.25%. The median Fed official looking for 2 more rate cuts this year, but just barely. Downside risk to employment has risen. Job gains have slowed, unemployment has edged up, and economic activity has moderated. The statement does note that inflation has moved up and remains somewhat elevated.
CNBC senior economics reporter Steve Leisman. With the rate cut, if you have a balance on your credit card that you're carrying, you'll pay slightly less, and on any auto loans and personal loans and adjustable rate mortgages. Savers will earn slightly less on money and high yield savings or money market accounts.
Consumer discretionaries, your Best Buys, your Home Depots, Ford, GM, anything that you will finance will do better with lower rates.
Grasso Global's Steve Grasso on CNBC. The U.S. is short an estimated 7 million homes. But the home builders started construction on fewer homes in August because they're sitting on so many brand new completed homes they haven't sold yet, even as they cut prices.
Housing's not going to turn on a dime because we have this huge buildup in inventories of new homes. And it's the highest it's been since 2007. And so they need sales to pick up so that we can clear out some inventory. We need to find balance. I mean, there are essentially cuts taking place in that you are seeing that the builders are buying down mortgages still, and they're offering incentives.
Piedmont Crescent Capital's Mark Vintner on CNBC. Mortgage rates actually went up yesterday. Fed cuts don't move mortgage rates. Mortgages generally follow the rate on the 10-year Treasury. But Mortgage News Daily has the average rate on a 30-year fixed home loan at 6.2% now. It's close to a 3-year low. Amazon will try again this year to get you to start holiday shopping in October. It's Prime Big Deal Days event, now set for October 7th and 8th. Target will compete. Walmart usually competes but hasn't announced its sale yet. They all do not want you to wait for Black Friday to start spending right after Thanksgiving. Subway's Fresh Fit menu is back. All 6-inch subs have under 500 calories. On today's watch list, earnings are coming from FedEx. We find out how many people applied for unemployment benefits last week. American Express expected to announce new higher annual fees for its cards today and a refresh. And it's National Cheeseburger Day with deals and discounts at various chains.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, Mahmoud Khalil to be deported after these messages. A man is in custody suspected of ramming his car into an FBI building gate in Pittsburgh. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
The FBI says Donald Henson of Pennsylvania was taken into custody Wednesday. He's accused of ramming a car into a staffed security gate at the FBI building in Pittsburgh. No one was hurt in what Assistant Special Agent Christopher Giordano says was a targeted attack.
We do believe that there is a mental health problem and a history of mental health issues.
He says Henson is known to the FBI.
He did come here to the FBI field office a few weeks ago to make a complaint that didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Giordano said the driver threw a flag over the gate before running away on foot. The car appeared to have some sort of message on a side window and a U.S. Air Force sticker on it. Giordano said Henson was a former member of the military. Audio courtesy WTAE. I'm Julie Walker.
A pro-Palestinian former Columbia University graduate student has been told by a judge he will be deported. Mahmoud Khalil has been in a detention center in Louisiana since his arrest in March for being one of the leaders of campus unrest at the Ivy League school in New York City. Khalil was being held for not disclosing certain information on his green card application. A federal judge has now ordered Khalil to be deported to either Syria or Algeria. Since he's a native of Syria and has Algerian citizenship, his lawyers are planning to appeal the judge's deportation decision. America in the Morning for Thursday, September 18th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Conflicting reports on budget negotiations in Congress. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Federal Reserve has cut its benchmark interest rate for the first time this year. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The House rejected a Republican resolution to censor Republican Ilhan Omar. I'm Sue Aller.
Mississippi police say they're waiting for autopsy results for a black student found hanging from a tree. I'm Haya Panjwani.
A new designation for Antifa candidate enters the Georgia governor's race. A close call for Air Force One. A boost for Amazon workers. And a popular rapper has both a new album and baby on the way. Back after these messages. Welcome back. Here with America in the Morning. Areas around Southern California expecting downpours today. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Moisture associated with what was once Tropical Storm Mario continues to flow into parts of the southwest today, enhancing the risk for, coverage of, and intensity within showers and some thunderstorms for southern Arizona and parts of southern and central California. Some of these thunderstorms may be able to wring out enough of that tropical moisture to lead to some intense downpours, especially just away from the southern California coastline, and total rainfall through Friday morning may reach at least 1 to 2 inches in places like Big Bear and through the upslope side of the mountains east of San Diego, north of Los Angeles, and east of Bakersfield. However, showers should extend northward along the coast as well, staying to the south of San Francisco through the day before arriving there at night, and a stray afternoon thunderstorm may reach the Sierra Nevada mountains too. Showers and thunderstorms also reach southern New Mexico and yet again much of the plains today as a storm struggles to fight its way through high pressure centered over parts of the Midwest and into the Ohio Valley. There may be a higher concentration of thunderstorms from the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles through southern Kansas, as well as from eastern South Dakota to northern Wisconsin, with at least a spotty storm as well from eastern Oklahoma to around the Minnesota-Iowa border. Watch for steadier rain in southern North Dakota and showers as far west as eastern Montana. Much of the Florida Peninsula again faces the risk for thunderstorms today, but those storms should be most numerous for the Atlantic side and in the southern part of the state. Otherwise, much of the east looks dry today once any lingering showers exit the coast from Maryland to Connecticut, with more sunshine and warmer conditions returning after what was a rather chilly Wednesday in some spots. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. House Republicans are laying out the details of a budget bill that would keep the government open until late November, but Democrats are calling for negotiations. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports the bill would also have in it millions of dollars for enhanced security for members of Congress and others following the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
The House is expected to vote on the proposed spending bill by the end of this week. Congressional Democrats say that the proposal fails to meet the needs of the American people and does nothing to stop a looming health care crisis. President Trump and the GOP need the support of at least 7 Senate Democrats to break a filibuster to keep the government open past September 30th.
I told them, don't even bother dealing with them.
The president not necessarily confident that'll happen when speaking with Fox News recently.
The Democrats they're sick. There's something wrong with them. Schumer is, at the end of the rope. He's going to be defeated in the next election. If you gave them every dream right now, every dream that they want to give away money to this and that destroy the country, if you gave them every dream, they would not vote for it.
The bill would generally fund agencies at current levels, but would allow tens of millions of dollars to increase security for lawmakers amid a recent rise in political violence. Democrats think the president is leaning into a shutdown, though.
When Donald Trump says don't even bother with Democrats when it comes to talking about a budget, he's gearing up for a shutdown. It's on his shoulders, plain and simple.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said Congress is on a path to a government shutdown.
We have 2 weeks. Let's sit down and talk.
Schumer spoke with NBC News.
Now, when Trump says no Democrat should be involved, and Johnson and Thune go, yes, sir, Mr. President, they are heading our country towards a shutdown, which we don't want and no one wants. So it's very simple. Sit down and negotiate, as has been done in the past.
In response to pushback against health care, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson called the debate over health insurance tax credits a December policy issue, not something that needs to be solved in September. I'm Clayton Neville.
The Federal Reserve has acted and cut interest rates, and that may not be the only cut before this year is over. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports on the Federal Reserve's move and what it means for your wallet.
The Federal Reserve has cut its benchmark interest rate for the first time this year. It was a quarter-point drop, with the Fed projecting 2 more cuts this year amid labor market concerns.
What's different now is that you see a very different picture of the risks to the labor market. You've seen, we were looking at 150,000 jobs a month at the time of the last meeting, and now we see the revisions and we see the new numbers. And I don't want to put too much emphasis on payroll job creation, but it's just one of the things that suggests that the labor market is really cooling off. And that tells you that it's time to take that into account in our policy.
The central bank's focus has shifted quickly from inflation, which is still higher than it likes, to jobs, with hiring grounding nearly to a halt.
The market slowing in both the supply of and demand for workers is unusual. In this less dynamic and somewhat softer labor market, the downside risks to employment appear to have risen. We see that the labor market is softening, and we don't need it to soften anymore, don't want it to. So we use our tools, and it starts with a 25 basis point rate cut.
Chair Jerome Powell says the Fed faces a challenge with weaker hiring and elevated inflation. It's also facing political pressure, with President Trump demanding far bigger cuts.
They should listen to smart people like me.
New Trump appointee Stephen Myron was the only Fed policymaker against the quarter-point cut. He pushed for a half point. Powell says Myron was alone.
There wasn't widespread support at all for a 50 basis point cut.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Congresswoman Nancy Mace has had it up to here with Democrat Ilhan Omar saying she must be censured and have her House committee assignments taken away following a number of statements, including implying that Charlie Kirk was to blame for his own murder. Sue Aller reports.
It was a close vote. On Wednesday, the House voted 214 to 213 to reject a resolution by Republican Representative Nancy Mace that sought to punish Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar and remove her from her committee assignments. Here's what Mace said on X.
She is inciting violence against conservatives in the wake of Charlie Kirk's political assassination. She is dehumanizing conservatives all across the country, calling Charlie Kirk a terrorist.
Mace had alleged that Omar smeared Charlie Kirk and implied he was to blame for his own murder by reposting a video on social media, which showed a man repairing a roof while a voiceover described Kirk as a reprehensible human being. Omar spoke on Sateo with Midday Hassan.
There is nothing more up, than to completely pretend that, his words and actions have not been recorded.
Omar went on to say,
these people are full of and it's important for us to call them out.
The vote was mostly along party lines, with 4 Republican members voting against the measure. I'm Sue Aller.
President Trump announcing Wednesday evening that he will designate Antifa as a major terrorist organization. In his announcement, the president described the group as a, quote, sick, dangerous, radical left disaster, end quote. In his post on Truth Social, Trump accused Antifa participants of being professional agitators in response to the administration's recent crackdown on illegal immigration, calling their actions crimes. Antifa, which is short for anti-fascist, is apparently a decentralized movement, which appears today as not having any designated leader, membership, or structure. Midterm political race heats up, and Air Force One incident in the sky. Those stories and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. The race for Georgia governor now has a current and former Republican who were both at odds with Donald Trump running for office. Earlier this week, former Georgia Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan said he's switching parties and will run as a Democrat. Now, Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, who defied the call made by Donald Trump to overturn the Peach State 2020 election results, says he'll run to replace outgoing Governor Brian Kemp in 2026. State Attorney General Chris Carr and Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones are also vying for the GOP's nomination. Jones has already received President Trump's endorsement. Shifting gears, an investigation is underway in Mississippi after a student was found hanging from a tree on the campus of Delta State University. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports the incident has sparked outrage and allegations online.
Law enforcement officials are asking for patience as they look into the Mississippi college student found hanging on campus. Mississippi police say they're waiting for autopsy results for a black student found hanging from a tree at Delta State University.
Preliminary results are expected to be available within the next 24 to 48 hours.
They acknowledge that the case has sparked strong emotions in a state with a history of racist violence. Delta State University President Dan Ennis.
While the preliminary report of the Bolivar County Coroner's Office indicates no evidence of foul play, we recognize that this is not only about facts. It's about emotions and it's about feelings. And the way this loss and how it was discovered affects people's lives.
For some black students on campus, the death has created fear. They say they've avoided going outside late at night. Marquand McKinney is a freshman at the university.
As a black community, everybody's upset right now. They're just trying to downplay the situation, And this this ain't the first time it happened. So, it's just everybody's shooken up right now.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
Following the death of Charlie Kirk, a Northeast state governor who's no stranger to political violence, is speaking out, saying the political rhetoric that is fueling acts of hate and killing has to come to an end. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro says the country must turn the tide against political violence and reject vengeance. At the Eradicate Hate Global Summit in Pittsburgh, Shapiro pointed out the attempted assassination of President Trump, the killing of United Healthcare CEO, and the shooting death of a Democratic lawmaker in Minnesota.
Different places, different people, different perspectives, but one common thread: people using violence to settle political differences.
He criticized President Trump as using what he called the rhetoric of rage in the wake of Charlie Kirk's killing.
Unfortunately, some, from the dark corners of the internet all the way to the Oval Office, want to cherry pick which instances of political violence they want to condemn.
Shapiro says by not condemning all violence, the president failed that leadership test, failed the morality test, and it makes the country less safe. I'm Ed Donahue.
We've heard about a number of near misses in the skies, but the latest now involves Air Force One. An air traffic controller had to urgently warn a Spirit Airlines flight to change its course because it was getting too close to the president's plane, which was at the time heading to England while in New York airspace. At one point, with the planes parallel and 8 miles apart, the controller told the Spirit pilot, quote, "The plane is white and blue, you know who it is," end quote, and then soon after scolded the pilot by saying, "Pay attention, get off the iPad." The FAA is looking into the matter. Penske Media, parent to Rolling Stone magazine, is claiming that the new Google AI search summary is preventing those very valuable click-throughs to their website. Chuck Palm has that in today's Tech Report.
Penske Media, the parent company behind Rolling Stone and The Hollywood Reporter, has just slapped Google with a lawsuit over its AI overviews feature. These are the new one-paragraph summaries at the beginning of new Google searches, and the Rolling Stone is claiming that Google's AI is gobbling up their hard-hitting journalism and spitting out key details, which effectively slashes traffic to their websites by providing the searcher with the details that they need without reading the web page. Penske claims that they have a brutal 1/3 drop in affiliate link revenue this year alone because folks aren't venturing beyond the AI teaser. Affiliates get paid with those click-throughs, and when the search page gives you all the details, the tracker on the web page does not register that as a hit. Penske claims this is a lose-lose because if they block Google from crawling their page, the proof of visibility vanishes. Google insists that the AI is making searches more helpful, but publishers are left wondering who's really paying the bill for the free intel. Follow me on X, @ChuckPalm.
A check of sports this Thursday. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
Baseball Wednesday, the Cubs doubled up the Pirates 8-4 to lock up their first postseason berth in 5 years. Manager Craig Counsell.
A fun thing to do. You don't get to do this in regular jobs, you know what I mean, where you get to celebrate and throw champagne on each other. You just don't get to do it, right?
Ian Happ and Moises Ballesteros hit back-to-back jacks in the first inning. Brewers still have the best record in baseball after bashing the Angels 9-2, 5 RBI for Blake Perkins. Dodgers blanked the Phillies last night 5-0. Blake Snell struck out 12 in 7 innings of a combined 3-hitter. Shohei Ohtani hit his 51st homer of the year. In the American League, the Guardians won their 6th straight, shutting out the Tigers 4-0. Gavin Williams and the McLeods with a 4-hitter. That keeps Cleveland in the playoff chase. A change in the West. Astros regained the division lead with a 5-2 win over the Rangers, while the Royals scored 4 in the 8th to sink the Mariners 7-5 and end their 10-game winning streak. Rays shaded the Blue Jays 2-1. Chandler Simpson robbed Alejandro Kirk of a 3-run homer in center field, then singled in the go-ahead run. Trent Grisham homered twice to lead the Yankees over the Twins 10-5. Red Sox nipped the A's 5-4 in 10 innings for their 11th walk-off win of the year. After a scoreless duel between Justin Verlander and Brandon Pfaadt, the Giants downed the Diamondbacks 5-1 in 11 innings. Manny Machado broke open a tie game with a grand slam, and the Padres whipped the Mets 7-4. Wins for the Reds, Braves, Orioles, and Marlins. And tonight, Week 3 of the NFL season kicks off with the 0-2 Dolphins at the 2-0 Bills. That's Thursday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, news we can all appreciate as the Toy Hall of Fame seeks entrance for this year's inductees. That and more after these messages. Workers at Amazon will be getting a big boost to their bottom line. As Lisa Dwyer reports, the online giant is investing $1 billion to increase pay and lower health care costs for workers, which includes doctor copays dropping to just $5.
Amazon says that it is making a $1 billion investment to raise wages and lower the cost of health care plans for its U.S. fulfillment and transportation workers. The average pay is increasing to more than $23 per hour. Full-time employees, on average, will see their pay increase $1,600 per year. Amazon also says that it is lowering the cost of its entry-level health care plan to $5 per week and $5 for copays. Last December, Amazon faced strikes at 7 Amazon facilities. That same month, Amazon reached a settlement with OSHA to adopt ergonomic measures. The agency claimed hazardous working conditions led to serious lower back and other musculoskeletal disorders at Amazon facilities. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Amazon also announced their next Prime Days will take place October 7th and 8th, Amazon's biggest sale before Black Friday and Cyber Monday after Thanksgiving. It's baby watch for Cardi B. The Grammy Award-winning rapper announced she's expecting, with her new boyfriend, New England Patriots wide receiver Stefon Diggs. This will be the 4th child for Cardi B and the 1st for Diggs. It's been a busy month for Cardi B, along with the announcement of a baby on the way. Her new album, called I Am the Drama, will be released on Friday. Transformers Phase 10 cards and My Little Pony all made it in last year. Correspondent Julie Walker reports on the contenders for this year's Toy Hall of Fame.
Trivial Pursuit, the Star Wars lightsaber, Furbies, cornhole, and even snow might join the Toy Hall of Fame. Chris Bench at the Strong Museum says the cardboard box and even sand have been inducted in the past.
Every now and again, we want to include something that people play with but isn't a manufactured toy. So we've inducted the cardboard box, we've inducted the stick, we've inducted the blanket as well as sand. And for a number of years, we've had nominations for snow as something that is a source of creative delight and play for kids and grown-ups alike.
He says they had more than 2,100 nominations and whittled them down to 12 finalists that also include Battleship, Catan, Connect 4, Spirograph, Slime, The Scooter, and Tickle Me Elmo.
There are not a lot of surprises. What is more of a surprise is, you mean that hasn't been a finalist so far?
Honorees will be announced in November. Julie Walker, New York.
America in the Morning for Thursday, September 18th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.